tend to endorse, the discussions that are going on at the moment. I have not seen this country in serious challenges to its existence as I see at this point in time. I have witnessed the Nigerian civil war. Not even that civil war has rocked the existence of the country as we are witnessing today. And of course, all attention is focused on the political class, simply because it's a political dispensation, it's a democracy, and therefore the solutions to all the problems that have been highlighted, particularly security or insecurity, economy, and so on and so forth, are challenges that the politicians are expected to come and be confronted with, and also to find solutions to them. But the politicians alone don't govern. They govern together with other sectors of the public. They govern together with the private sector. They govern together with the security agencies and so on and so forth. And what is therefore required, like Dr. Ahmed said, is the identification of a capable leadership by the political parties or the political class, that can bring together all components of this country together, and also the competencies that are available so that we can get out of this crisis. I am optimistic simply because we have had the experience of coming out of more serious crisis than this. General Abdul Salam and others who have fought the war, they know that we have lost more than 1 million people. That is the most tragic event in this country. Therefore, we have the capacity to pull out this country out of present predicament, provided, we have the right kind of leadership. I believe that we can do it, and we have the ability and the capacity to do it. I have listened to contributions so far made about education, about unemployment, about poverty, some of the causes of what we are going through today. Of course, these are correct and right identifications of our challenges. But the major constraint to these challenges is what was highlighted by Governor of Borno State, and that is corruption. Let me relate, my experience in governance. We established the UBE and introduced education tax fund. And all this money is being channeled, to the states and local governments to provide compulsory education for every child up to secondary school. Compulsory education for every child up to is a must. Do we do it? Do the states and the local government do it? We know that they don't. Why? Corruption. So I believe that a leadership that can come and really show strong leadership on that issue, particularly of education, is desirable. So, therefore, again, let me also comment on the issue of the ethnic nationalities who try to make, or try to put obstacles, like the Baba said, making it, ungovernable in certain parts of the country. I think what we need to definitely, as he recommended, there is need, we lower the temperature. And what is so disappointing about this, all these ethnic nationalities are being headed by people who are supposed to be very well educated. And this is the disappointment, part of it. But I also believe it is solvable. And solvable only through dialogue and understanding. So this is a delicate, point in the history of this country, and we must be very, very cautious on how we actually approach these issues, particularly in an election like between now and the 2023 elections.
Going by the number and the statistics, virtually banditry and the bandits actually cut across different ethnic groups. And in terms of percentage, there are more Hausa people, bandits, than even the Fulani. We really need to understand the Fulani cultural system and the Fulani cultural setting. Within their own perception and conception, if you don't have respect for the idea they call Fulaku, for instance, a code of conduct, you are more or less not a Fulani. They don't have that value for you. And not only that, there are Tuaregs who eventually become bandits. In Nupe land, we have Nupe people who are bandits. We have Bantu people who are also bandits. We have Kukuruku in the same Niger who are also bandits. The fundamental issue is we did not understand this issue of rural banditry. And when you look at the first generation of this bandit, from Buhari Daji to the most notorious of today, who is Kachala Turji, for instance, have in one way or the other certain level of grievances against either security agencies or principally, fundamentally, from the vigilante group. I think it is important we should understand this issue of banditry. And as we speak, there are over 30,000 bandits operating in the Northwest. And these 30,000 bandits are in control of over 135 villages in the Northwest. And of course, they are also in possession of deadly weapons beyond human imagination. And as I said, they have their grievances, and principally, fundamentally, there are those that become bandits because of what? Because of the issue of ethnic profiling, which we really need to understand. The Igbo people are there playing a very important and critical role in banditry, supplying drugs, hard drugs, supplying weapons through the ever-increasing porous Nigerian borders. And we've seen different medical stores, for instance, in the rural areas. You go to Gandhi, you find the shop of Uchi. They will tell you that that is Uchi. What is Uchi doing in Gandhi? You talk to the bandits, they will tell you that he is their man, he is their main supplier. What is he supplying? He is supplying drugs, injections, and also making a lot of money from that. It is also important we should also talk about this issue of dialogue, because we are on dialogue now. In my opinion, and I believe in the opinion of the bandits as well, there has never been dialogue between state governance and these bandits. What we observe is they are only lulling them to sleep. In actual sense, no dialogue, and they are ever ready as we speak for dialogue. There are quite a number of them that are willing today to go for dialogue, and I think it is important. The National Peace Commission should really know this.
Okay, so and I think you will have a lot of people who would have strong ideas about whether we should be talking to criminals, but we will get into that in a minute. Let me allow Dr. Baba Ahmed to share his own thoughts regarding the theme that we're discussing, and then we'll start the real conversation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I would just like to look at what is on the ground, the circumstances in which we live between now and 2023, and what needs to be done. I would like to advise that we treat 2023 not just as an election, but as a major turning point. We're going to either save this country or lose it, on the basis of what happens between now and 2023, and what happens in the elections, and what happens after. So we're not just going to deal with an election. It is a major turning point. It can be worse, or it can be the process of rebuilding this country. There are now a lot of things we need to do between now and then. We need to watch the rhetorics, the kind of things that geriatrics, groups that we represent, Millennial Elders Forum, or Fenifere, or Hanese, we need to watch what we say. Because people listen, and they act on it. We need to assume the responsibility of elders to lower the tension, to lower the stresses that we are creating. It is absolutely important. Politicians who hide behind people like us, our groups, to seek for shortcuts to power, need to understand that they are actually setting the country aflame. We are not good politicians. And sometimes when we raise these issues about it has to be the North, it has to be the South, the truth about it is that the politicians know that we're just generalizing issues. If you want to govern this country, you have to soil your boots. It cannot be just about the North and South. It has to be about every inch of Nigeria. We need to lower the rhetorics. We need to lower some of the things that we say. There are intimate linkages between politics and security. The disconnect that my sister mentioned is profound. The disconnect between the state and the city, it is profound. Millions of Nigerians feel abandoned. They don't think this country cares enough about them. And our leadership operates as if it really doesn't matter. This is what is in the mind of people. And when people feel abandoned, they also feel they have a right to take decisions and steps that they believe have no consequences, or they have consequences that they design. One of the key issues that we have to watch out for is the impending inter-party crisis. This is going to have a major impact on political competition and the manner in which the political environment is either heated or managed. It is going to happen. It is going to be a major development. The quality and disposition of contestants, kind of people who are coming out every day, because we have created a false idea that the 2023 elections is about Igbo, Yoruba, or Northern. Just about everybody is coming out to say, I want to be president. That is very dangerous for this country. They have cheapened this country. If you look at the kind of candidates who are coming out and say, I want to be president, simply because you said it's going to be an Igbo person or Yoruba person has to be another. It's frightening. This country doesn't need an ethnic president. It needs a president who can actually physically turn this country around. That's what we need. But because we have lowered the bar, look at the kind of people who are coming out to say, I want to be president. That is very dangerous and very bad for this country. There are a number of things we must avoid. The population census being planned by this administration in this year, so close to the elections, must be postponed. It is very, very dangerous to contemplate conducting a national census a year to an election, when we know in our history that this is a very, very contentious and divisive event. Millions of our people are running around, especially those in the north. Don't do this now. Otherwise, the spillover effect of that in the elections will be serious. Cost of living. Government is committed to raising the price of fuel. One of the worst things you can do is to create huge additional anger around cost of living, cost of fuel, cost of prices, pushing the citizenry even more into desperation. And you want to have an election just a few months after that. The more unhappy your citizenry, the more they feel they have no stake in the system. Food security is serious, and the possibility of hunger in the north has never been more real. We need an administration that should pay attention to that. The integrity of the 2053 elections and security is serious. Possibility that somebody somewhere will stop campaigning and elections in the southeast is real. We better say it quite plainly. There are powerful interests that will say, let's see if you have an election, if you don't have an Igbo candidate. And they have the power, they control the ground enough to actually stop serious political activities. We have to watch out for this and find a way around it. The potential for deeper polarization between communities in the southern part of the country, between the north and the east, is very serious. So what can be done? We have to treat, as I said, 2023 as a major turning point. This administration must commit to deeper interest in securing the country. It is not what they're doing is not enough. It is simply not being enough. We're not fighting banditry enough. We're not fighting kidnapping enough. We're not paying attention to the kind of issues that will have a major impact on the way the politics will build up in 2023. It cannot just be the case that President Buhari's administration will sit its time out. 1 year is a long time in the history of a country, particularly a country going through a crisis. It's got to show more empathy. It's got to pay attention to issues about constitutional amendment, about the reforms of the electoral process, about the way Nigerians feel about each other. It is his business. It cannot be somebody else's. The media needs to be restrained. If we cannot apply professional checks and balances on itself, then we have to find a way. The media has gone crazy. Sorry to use this one. My sister is doing this. I know she wants me to stop. So let me stop. Two things. We must avoid pushing citizenry to more desperate measures. We must stop. It's enough. There is enough suffering. There is enough desperation. A lot of people, just don't think democracy is worth supporting in this country. On our part, and I'm very happy that the former head of state and His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto are members of the Peace Committee. The Northern Elders Forum has committed to reach out to groups in the south so that we can talk. We need to talk. We need to lower the tension. We need to show that there is a country worth fighting for, and we will do this. And we would like to appeal to any responsible Nigerian with any influence to support us in this endeavor. Thank you.
First of all, one of the things we don't really pay a lot of attention to is competence. I think our hearts are in the right place, but we don't have the competence to translate what we want, to translate where we are now to what we want. And I think there needs to be a lot more conversation about that. And that's why I talked a lot about education. It's not education of necessarily, oh, you need more primary schools or you need more secondary schools. It's the content of it. And education is broader than just, the real education is by doing. And there are certain aspects of our culture, for example, that people just don't like making mistakes. They don't like to fail without realizing that those things help to build competence. So coming back to our politics, we need to now start asking ourselves, who are those that are capable? I don't even want to talk about as capability from a track record, from what you have seen, not CV, not which school you attended. Because I see some CVs being, that doesn't help capability. Show what you have actually done to translate from A to B and demonstrate that. And we should also not keep, lower our standards, because again, I've been in conversations. I think maybe one thing, we need to be honest with ourselves. We really need to be. But I don't even know whether that word is something that means the same to everybody else.
Initially, you refer to development plan, which you say, well, you have a plan, but it's never been implemented the way it should be. But if you ask me, I say the abandonment of national development plan is our thing. The seminar spoke very well when to nostalgia those remarkable landmarks of the first pioneer leaders of this country, the former regional premier. They did so within the context of national development plan, which worked very well. And even on China, I don't think the miracle of China is due to its homogeneity. China is even more diverse than Nigeria, we need to check very well. But the strength of China lies in consistent adherence to national development plan. China is running 14th, 5th development plan. Nigeria abandoned the third development plan. So there's no framework to really do analysis. We're just agonizing there. There's no framework, no roadmap. As they say, if you fail to plan, you're actually planning to fail. So I was just thinking that maybe it's time for us to return to development plan. Then the last one is, and I want all the other discussants to reflect on this. For the past 3 years now, Oxfam has been releasing a report that the combined wealth of 5 richest Nigeria total about $29.9 billion. And this could eradicate extreme poverty among about around 12 million Nigerians. Now, with this inequality pandemic, in which the few rich are getting richer, majority of people, what is the policy implication for sustainable development? Thank you very much.